have Goblins for you today. We have Horus Lad. Yup, I've been waiting to see what the TCG would do with this. And Eldlich, along with some more meta. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we've continued down the pipeline of seeing, hey, what can Goblins do? What are the innovations that Goblin duelists are bringing to the table? More and more people have been exploring this deck, and it's been very, very cool to actually see what the TCG versions of this deck are kind of starting to form up to out here. You know, you definitely see that, you know, the little Xyz package, full armored, is just kind of free real estate for this deck. Being able to toggle on up into this kind of puts you in a very good position. Now, this build is also playing the Ghost Trick shot. Now, for those of you that don't have any idea how this works, you're able to, you make a loot card, and then you rank on up into Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief. This thing lets you, once per turn, detach one, add a Ghost Trick spell and trap card from your deck to your hand. Okay, so we go ahead and we search for Ghost Trick shot here. So let's just spell summon a Ghost Trick from our hand or graveyard, and then we can change one to face up attack position, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about that. It just revives the loot card. You overlay into another Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief, and then you make a Utopic Future into Utopic Future Draco to make sure, oh, we're not going to lose the random game here, so that we're able to kind of do our thing. Yes, this is actually a very crucially important part of this deck's game plan. Now, you also have things like Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. I do feel like that this duelist has a huge amount of cash tier at their locals, and they have to play a lot of cards like this to be able to kind of make sure, hey, we're not going to lose to this random BS along the way, and that's perfectly understandable. Actually, a lot of these side deck options here are going to make sure that, you know, the little goblin plays you're committing, hey, a Terror Top with a tour guide is probably going to be what, your golden child hand. Like, you'll be able to slap down Terror Top on into probably Utopic Future stuff and then start setting up from there. Utopic Future, fortunately, you're probably going to get blasted by a Nibiru on the Utopic Future before you can see this, because it'll be your fifth. But okay, interesting Goblin Biker stuff. Next up here, we have Inspector Border Horus good stuff. Now, the easiest thing that I can tell you about this deck is this is a lot more streamlined than a lot of these previous builds that I have seen. This build only chose to play 2 Light and Darkness Dragons, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes I do want more. I do want to play the third, because this build chose to play Archlord Christia over the Lad, which, to be honest with you, is not a terrible call. Archlord having that generic floodgate effect to stop your opponent and go, no, 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 no. We don't do that here. Card is broken for what it needs to do. We do have the continual Horus package. Gotta love the value off of this. And of course, Light and Darkness Dragon. You know, potentially upwards to 4 negates for this card is going to be your best value. The only downside to Lad is this card automatically beats Light and Darkness Dragon, because you'll special summon it, you'll trigger the effect, Lad will negate it. Lad's now at 2,300, and then Fenrir just swings on over it as well. Actually, you don't even have to toggle the effect. You could just swing, declare effect, and then Lad will, you know, negate it. I know, it depends how bad you actually want the search along the way for you to be able to do your thing. And of course, do play a single copy of Foolish Burial for this list. Dump one of your little side pieces along the way so you know you can kind of set up. But this list is actually pretty good. Shout out to Giant Trainer. Going to bat to draw all the little free advantage that you could actually want along the way. This card single-handedly is the only reason why I actually want to play this deck. Go draw 3, ping your opponent for upwards to possibly 2,400 damage. Yep, that's the good stuff that we've all kind of come to know and love from Yu-Gi-Oh! Next up here, we have, guess what? It's another Horus package, but this time, this build chose to go down the Eldlich line of things. Now, the Eldlich package is still incredibly strong. I know that times have kind of changed, you know, we've gotten maybe not into the greatest positions in the current game, but, you know, 2 Golden Lords for the defensive swings are probably pretty good. Now, this build does want to make sure that you can go first. Yeah, right. It's strange. Just a lot of this format's just win the dice roll, 5-head. You know, if you win the dice roll, you'll win the game more than likely. Yes, I do agree with that statement a lot. So basically, you rely on things like the anti-spell, you rely on things like the summon limit here, to guess what, kind of go ahead and do your thing. Now, the most interesting thing I think about this package is the fact that they are playing the Horus in here. I mean, it does get you some spot removal options. It does interact with the field spell to get you the draw 1, which this deck does kind of need the draw 1. Like, if you're out here fiending off of the field spell and you're like, well, we have to tuck back a monster, which turns into the Imseti, and then you have to blast the Imseti another card out of your hand, which does replace, you've got a lot of commitment for, you know, this package. And unfortunately, that's where, you know, well, that's where Mr. Horus tries to come in here. Also, the board wipe effect on Horus is actually pretty good when you actually need to see it for this deck. Outside of that, I mean, the one Campoic Protector, I think, is a cute tech choice. Getting the ability to basically revive your whole Horus squad and put them back on the field is pretty good. Poor little Quef, not even getting a chance to see play in this build. We just chose to cut him and play the one copy of the Horus. I think that this might be a deck that you might want to actually try out. Okay, what else we got going on back here? We have Berserk Archfiend in my Unchained pile. Target up to 2 face-up monsters you control, including a Fiend monster. Special summon this card from your hand if you do destroy those cards. Oh, that's pretty good. So that will trigger all of our Unchained cards. Wow, okay. I mean, we just have to have 2 face-up monsters on the field in order to trigger this, which shouldn't be the most unheard of thing in the, you know, world, but okay, so we're just playing this as a generic Fiend pop-off point here to be able to trigger our Unchained cards so you can kind of do your thing. You know, the current state that Unchained has found itself in, limiting Shavara hurt this deck so much. Like, it needed a way to kind of start to figure out, hey, you know, like, are we able to, are we still here, or do we still combo? Like, what do we do? What is our purpose? And it still honestly feels like a very strong deck. I think a lot of people definitely kind of underestimate this deck, but for the most part, I think it's still able to do its thing. You're still doing the DDD package in here as well. Like, Wave King Kaiser is still one of the strongest cards that this deck has access to, and it wants to make sure that you can still continuously put that pressure on your opponent with this card. Also, not being a stupid once per turn really has made me hate this card. Getting blasted out, and then of course, you know, turboing through the big Deuce Man himself. It's pretty good. I'll see if this duel still has Purely running around at their locals, that they have to play Herald of the Abyss in order to kind of clean up some of those options. Like, that in itself is kind of crazy. You can just tell by some of the tall choices that some of these lists are forced to make, that you can see just the oddest interactions out here for these sorts of decks. So, not too bad to see Unchained doing well. Next up here, oh, it's the Great Beyond. I've definitely enjoyed seeing more and more of the fish decks do the thing. I try to cover these as much as I can because the evolution in this deck, you know, people are holding on to hope. They're like, hey, you know, just come play Goaty with us. You know, you'll have a fun time. This deck is siding so much disruption, banishment, hate that it's crazy, man. Like, we have triple shifter and triple dimensional fissure. If a fire duelist walks in here and runs into this stuff, they're just going to sit there and they're going to go, ugh, really? Like, I have to deal with all of this. This is why you play food shows, so you can at least out this card, and then, you know, attempt to go through your board. But if they have this, you know, you're going to have to waste an SP Little Knight along the way to try to out this. Hello, Abyss Keeper. Build's also playing 2 copies of the Anti-Spell Fragrance, as, of course, you have another deck out here. It's trying to kind of balance things out here so that you can kind of do your thing. And then, of course, Crossout Designator. Crossout in this deck actually acts as like a jumping point for it, because you'll just banish one of your Goaties, and then during the standby phase, oh my gosh, a Goaty monster was banished. You get offensive and defensive capabilities with Crossout in this. I actually like this a lot. Crossout having multi-purposing options other than defensive plays is kind of disgusting, but it does prove, hey, this works out. We're doing 1 Talents double thrust as well. And then, of course, you have the double imperm in here as well. I think this deck looks pretty good. Honestly, you've got the best of what I feel like everything that you need to see. So overall, not too bad. So what do you guys think? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.